season's greetings and welcome along to a unique festive edition of Diecast Restos. This week I'll be once again taking on a Matchbox model Volkswagen Beetle, but instead of restoring it, I'll be showing you how to turn it into a Christmas ornament. I'll tell you all about the zinc plating process I utilise along the way as well. You can do this with any model car, but with my background of restoring battered old castings, particularly Matchbox, and the pleasing shape of the Beetle, this fit the bill nicely. The example I have here has been taken apart by a former owner, as the base had been glued on and the window plastic glued in. I shan't be needing the window plastic today, good thing really, as this one is in a rotten state. These castings, when new, always came painted in a light metallic steel blue, so the last owner had decided red was a better option for them. In painting the base rather sloppily, they also painted the wheels, which has caused them to split. I've bought some replacement wheels from Steve Flowers Model Supplies, so I can afford to cut off all 4 damaged originals. The model was also missing its rear engine cover. I added that to my Model Supplies order. I'll pop a link in the description. Here's all the parts now it is fully disassembled. It really was one of the worst castings for rusty axles that I've ever come across. After I've drilled and tapped the rivet posts to later secure the base, I put the axles into my drill and sand them down to a shinier layer of metal. This was such a pleasing, albeit time-consuming process. Honestly, they were thick with rust. But look at the difference between old versus new, they really are poles apart. The replacement wheels I received were of a very light colour plastic. Seeing as I'll be zinc plating the casting later, I needed something a bit more metallic looking. So to recreate the silver plastic wheels of the original, I've sprayed them in lovely gloss aluminium. Then I can strip that horrible old paint right off. Once the casting is out of the caustic soda solution, I use my wire brushes to help remove any of the last flecks of paint from the body. In hindsight, it might have been wise to forego this step, as the zinc coating would cover over any imperfections anyway. Very little paint remained on the body or base to begin with. As I said earlier, I have previously restored a Lesney Matchbox 25B Volkswagen, the video to which I have left a link for here. The model itself was first available in 1960, replacing the Bedford CA Dunlop van. It lasted for 4 years, remaining the same colour throughout production, receiving grey, silver or black plastic wheels, clear or green tinted transparencies, and with Volkswagen spelt with an O in place of the E on early bases. Its replacement in 1964 was the Bedford BP petrol tanker. Now let's begin our science experiment. The first thing you'll need is distilled white vinegar. I've used malt here, which is apparently less reactive than plain white distilled vinegar. The next ingredient is Epsom salts. I shovel around 5½ heaped teaspoons of the stuff in. You've got to really stir it well to make sure it fully dissolves in the vinegar. This will probably give you arm ache. I've picked up some zinc electrode plates on eBay. You'll need 2 for this method. You'll also need to leave one in the solution for several hours. In fact, I left mine overnight before I started the experiment. Wash the casting with soap and water to remove any of the leftover oils from the surface of your skin. It's important that you no longer touch the casting with your hands after this stage. Then spray on distilled water to completely cleanse it. We're now ready to begin. You'll need a D-cell battery with crocodile clips connected to the positive and negative points of the battery. The positive is connected to your other zinc electrode, while the negative must be attached to your casting. I've simply hung mine on a rod spanning the bowl. We then need to introduce oxygen to aggravate the bubbles forming on the casting. This helps give it an even coverage of zinc. I bought a cheap fish tank oxygen supply on Amazon for this purpose. You'll now see it all bubbling away nicely. The casting must be rotated every 15 minutes for approximately 2 hours to ensure the zinc coating surrounds the entire model. After that time has passed, you need to smooth off the casting. I'm using some very fine grip mesh abrasive. You can see some of the marking left by the zinc plating process here. It also gives it a very dull matte finish, which we want to lose. I have to give my thanks to the Bare Metal HW channel for the tips on zinc plating. He gives a far better instructional video than I have done here, so I will leave a link to that in the description below. I'll also leave a list of all of the parts that I've used throughout this build, though I've tried to leave text descriptions on screen where I could. This probably isn't the best representation of what's achievable with zinc plating, but it's my first ever go, and I was maybe a little limited in my use of malt rather than white vinegar. The trouble is, malt is just so much more readily available. Here I'm now polishing the casting with the superb Autosol metal polish. This is quite a long process now, getting the best out of the zinc plating. You'll first see me using the dirty polishing wheel before swapping to a clean one to remove any final remnants of polish. You will have also seen me trying to work with the transparency, which was in really bad shape. Initially I had been unsure if I would incorporate it into my casting, however in the end you'll see I've decided to leave it out. What I opted to do was use some silver string and tie it either side of the B-pillar to leave the Beetle hanging like a bauble. You'll be able to see this shortly in the video outro. Now moving on to using my clean polishing wheel, you can certainly start to see the sheen of the zinc and it's looking glorious. We are now rapidly approaching the closing stages of this build. I hope that talking through my methods has been helpful to you, and I'd love to know in the comments if you'll be trying this for yourself. I'm definitely going to try zinc plating again, perhaps even make it an annual tradition and really fill up my Christmas tree. Again, let me know if you'd like to see that in the comments, along with suggestions of what casting to use next. Meanwhile, here's some redundant footage of me polishing the unused transparency. In truth, it came out better than I initially thought, but I think I prefer the final result without it. So now I reattach the reproduction wheels and sanded axles, then give those axle ends a dab of chrome paint. So here was how my Christmas decoration to be looked before I set to work on it. One former owner had taken it fully apart, repainted it all over and re-glued the windscreen back into the cabin. It had lost its rear engine cover and the paint on the wheels and the rusty axles had caused the plastic to split. It was in such terrible shape, and seeing as it's Christmas, I thought I'd do something special with it. So let's take a look at my zinc plated bauble. And what a transformation it is! Back to a sleek bare metal look, this VW will look perfect hanging on my Christmas tree. Stick around to the end to see it hanging proudly alongside all of the other less exciting decorations. As I say, it's my first time zinc plating anything and it won't be my last. I'm eager to try this again next year with another casting, so please leave your suggestions in the comments. I'll leave links to the part sources and Bare Metal HW's video in the description, as well as a list of all of the items I used to make this build possible. If you enjoyed this build, be sure to subscribe and check out my 250 plus video back catalogue of diecast restorations and customs. And of course, leave a like if you enjoyed this video. I just want to take this time to wish all my viewers a very Merry Christmas and a happy and healthy New Year. I'll see you again for one more release before the turn of the year, so all that leaves me to say is thanks for watching and bye for now. Happy holidays!